think they saw the numbers. They sold some, they bought some, but it wasn't anything out of control there. It certainly wasn't in line with the amount of money that they spent buying their own stock. In that, I mean, that just doesn't really feel like a surprise at this point. It does feel kind of like, you know what you're going to get with this business. You got Warren and Charlie running the show here. It's Berkshire Hathaway. You know what you're getting. By the same token, and we talk about this all the time, investing is about the future, right? It's about what's going to happen. And we have to start looking at Berkshire Hathaway through the lens of Greg Abel and Todd and Ted, right? I mean, these are three big names who are going to have a lot to do with where this business goes in the coming decade and beyond. And when you have traditionally, I mean, of course, Warren and Charlie have stuck within their circle of competence, so to speak, don't feel like they really have that prowess when it comes to tech. Which is probably not the greatest time, right? Because tech is really just proliferating in every way. What do you think this Berkshire Hathaway of the future looks like? I mean, it feels like this business may have to make some kind of meaningful pivot in order to, I don't want to say remain relevant, but at least in order to grow, right? In order to stay at the top of the conversation for investors over the next decade and beyond. I mean, it feels like they're going to have to make some kind of a pivot there.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation as to what the Berkshire of the future might look like. It could look very much like it does today.
Yeah.
In which case, a lot of investors are going to think it's boring, kind of like you just alluded to.
Yeah.
But with Greg Abel and he's going to be in charge of the non-stock portfolio side of the business for the most part. Ted and Todd are going to have pretty much full control of the investments. And they have been taking more of a tech-focused approach, kind of the newer companies.
Yeah.
They were where the Snowflake investment came from. They were where Berkshire's Amazon stake came from. They were the ones who
the Brazilian payments investments.
Right. The Brazilian investments. They were the ones who first bought Apple stock in the portfolio. And they've done really well so far. A lot of people think that eventually some parts of Berkshire's business might be spun out.
Yeah.
That's another thing that I've heard. Some of the more legacy kind of, the slow growing capital intensive businesses like the utilities, maybe that could be spun out eventually. I don't necessarily see that happening, but there has been speculation to that. I think the new management will be more aggressive in deploying that capital because today's investors don't want a stockpile of cash. They want you to put that to work.
Yeah.
And whether that's the right or wrong way to go is not for me to say, but I mean, a lot of investors, myself included, are not fans that there's $140 billion of cash sitting on the sidelines.
That's a lot of money.
Do something with it. Buy back $140 billion of your own stock, but do something with it. And so I could see the incoming investment managers who currently only manage a small percentage of the portfolio. I want to say it's like 12 billion between the two of them of a $300 billion stock portfolio.
Yeah.
So they don't have a ton of control just yet, but once they have full control, I can see it being more of a modern portfolio. You'll find a lot of the more growthier stocks we talk about in there at some point in the future. And I can see them kind of being more aggressive with deploying capital.